All right, let's talk about something. It's a topic that's incredibly important for men's health, but one that's usually met with, well, a lot of silence. We're going to get into the connection between prostate health and sexual activity, especially as we get older. So let's just cut to the chase, right? Is it safe? Could it actually be good for you? And what, if anything, does it have to do with the risk of prostate cancer? Look, these are completely valid questions. They're questions that deserve clear, science-based answers, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack today, no holds barred. So here's our game plan. We'll start by really understanding the prostate's job. Then we'll get into a really surprising scientific discovery. We'll look at the why behind it, talk about the practical side of things like surgery, and then wrap it all up by looking at the big picture of your health. Okay, first things first. To really get what's going on, we need to understand the main player in this story, the prostate itself. So the prostate is this small gland, right about the size of a walnut. It's tucked away just below your bladder. You can't really see it or feel it, but trust me, it plays a huge role in men's health, especially after 50. So what's its job? Well, its main gig is producing a special fluid that becomes part of semen. This fluid is super important. It helps protect and transport sperm. You can kind of think of it like a little factory working as part of a team. And the process it's involved in, ejaculation, is just a normal, natural bodily function. I mean, it's no different than sweating to cool down or breathing to get oxygen. It's just what the body does. And that brings us to a really great analogy. Imagine a river. If the water stops flowing, it gets all stagnant and murky, right? Well, something kind of similar can happen with the prostate. For guys dealing with chronic prostatitis, which is basically a long-term inflammation, not having that regular, flow can sometimes make things worse. The ducts can get congested and causing pressure and just general discomfort. So all of this actually leads us to some fascinating science, specifically a huge study that pretty much turned the whole conversation on its head. 33%. Just look at that number for a second. Let it sink in. What in the world could that be referring to? Okay, so that 33%, that represents a lower risk of developing prostate cancer, according to this massive Harvard study. I mean, they followed almost 32,000 men for 18 years. And what they found was pretty mind-blowing. Guys who ejaculated at least 21 times a month had that 33% lower risk compared to men who only did so about 4 to 7 times. And here's the kicker. It didn't matter how. The benefit was tied purely to the frequency. And you know, this isn't just about numbers on a page. It has a real impact on people's lives. Take the story of a man named Don Ernesto. He's 68, and he was having a terrible time with pelvic discomfort and couldn't sleep. His doctor explained the science to him, and he decided to, get back into a regular routine. At his next checkup, he had this huge smile and said, "I've slept better these last few nights than I have in the past year." And there's a good reason for that. It's not just in his head. Ejaculation releases this cocktail of relaxing hormones, like prolactin and oxytocin. It's literally like your body hits a reset button and says, okay, time to chill out. In fact, a recent study from 2023 confirmed this link, finding that regular sexual activity helped men fall asleep faster and get deeper sleep. Your body might just have its own built-in sleeping pill.
So, the big question is, why? What's the actual mechanism here? How does this work? Well, science doesn't have one single definitive answer just yet, but there are 4 main theories floating around.
All right, theory number 1 is what you could call natural cleansing. The idea is that you're basically flushing out the pipes, getting rid of any potentially harmful stuff before it has a chance to cause trouble. The second is hormonal balance. This one suggests that regular activity keeps your hormones on a more even keel, avoiding these big spikes that might encourage unwanted cell growth. The third is immune system activation. It's like sending a memo to your body's security team to stay on high alert and take care of any suspicious-looking cells. And finally, number 4 is all about improved blood flow. The muscle contractions help reduce inflammation and something called oxidative stress, which is kind of like internal rust on your cells.
Now, we need to shift gears a little bit and tackle a very practical, very important concern. What happens after prostate surgery? I know this can be a sensitive topic, but it's something every man deserves to have clear, straightforward information about. So, not all prostate surgeries are created equal. If it's for a benign, non-cancerous growth, the whole point is just to clear the path for urine. After that, a lot of men have what's called retrograde ejaculation. The semen goes into the bladder instead of out. The physical feeling of orgasm is still there, it's just different. Now,
For cancer surgery or a radical prostatectomy, they remove the whole gland. That means semen isn't produced anymore, so there's no ejaculation at all.
But, and this is the absolute most important thing I want you to hear, the physical sensation of orgasm, that feeling, the muscle contractions, the release, can often be preserved. It's often called a dry orgasm. The mechanics might change, but the feeling itself doesn't have to go away.
Okay, so after covering all of this, it is absolutely essential that we put it all into context, because this is just one piece of a much, much bigger health puzzle.
Yes, it seems like ejaculation frequency is a helpful factor, but it is not a magic bullet, it's not a get-out-of-jail-free card, and it is absolutely not a substitute for living a healthy lifestyle overall. Think of it as one helpful tool in your toolbox, not the whole workshop.
The other, arguably more important pieces of the puzzle are the things we already know work. Don't smoke, try to maintain a healthy weight, eat more veggies, less processed junk, get some regular movement in, and for heaven's sake, get your annual checkups. Catching things early is everything. And please, please be skeptical of anyone on the internet trying to sell you a single magic cure in a bottle.
When you boil it all down, it really comes to this. The whole point is to make decisions about your health and your body from a place of knowledge and information, not from a place of fear or shame or silence.
So I'll just leave you with this to think about. Now that you have this information, how might it change the conversation? The one you have with yourself, or maybe the one you have with your doctor? Because that conversation, that's where really taking charge of your own well-being begins.